So I woke up this morning and saw an interesting post by the great Mark Zuckerberg. The future is for everyone. And indeed, I hope the future is for everyone, but I don't see how you're going to really make the future for everyone if the future is channeled through the business model of one traditional company, particularly one founded on, closed source product code, closed aggregation of everyone's data and advertising business model. I mean, Zuck is right about a lot of things, and I think he's, in a way, being good-hearted and trying to be open-minded. He wants to not be evil like the Google founders did, and he has some insight as to what makes sense and should be done. On the other hand, he's trying hard to delude himself that you can do what makes sense and what should be done through the medium of Facebook. And I think that's like square peg into a round hole, or even worse, like an infinite dimensional fractal peg into a square two-dimensional hole or something, right? It's not going to work. So Zuck is right that singleton AI is not a reliable path to benevolence, right? We need diversity of methods, a diversity of value systems, a complex, dynamic, cognitive and value ecology. And I don't think he's correct that you get that by wrapping a bunch of different users and groups in Facebook, though. I mean, his thought experiments against singletons make sense. Like, one person with a super intelligent lawyer breaks the courts. Everyone with a super intelligent lawyer can maybe make a different and better court system, right? Like, one agent with super intelligent cyber attack and defense technology can become a dictator. If everyone has super intelligent cyber attack and defense technology, becomes a safe global ecosystem. Like that all makes sense. And indeed, Facebook has helped contribute toward this sort of outcome by starting the party with open weights LLMs, right? Even though LLMs aren't going to be AGI, and even though Chinese companies are now doing better with open weights LLM than Facebook, like props to Zuck for starting that party with Llama. But then, after acknowledging the problem with singletons, Zuck goes on to propose, like, basically a singleton plus plus, right? I mean, problem number one, like, a corporation is not a decentralized network, right? So, I mean, you can try to sort of align those two, but not by creating a decentralized network within your corporate walled garden, right? I mean, what we're trying to do with BGI Labs and SingularityNet in a different, more crypto-focused way. I mean, you start with an open source code ecosystem, an open source community, and I mean, you can build a corporation on top of that decentralized network, and that's healthy, because then they're potentially healthy, because the corporation only survives and flourishes if it serves the decentralized network, right? Just like in Linux, Red Hat as a company will survive and flourish if its distro is what Linux users want. Otherwise, people can take their Linux kernel and their user community groups to some other Linux distro, right? Now, on the other hand, if you're trying to build the decentralized network within the corporate walled garden, I mean, that's it's the wrong way around, right? Because then you're trying to make defenses against people taking their networks and their layered on technology out of your walled garden. And it's not about whether you're serving the decentralized network with your company, it's about whether you can channel that decentralized network into serving your business model, right? I mean, of course, I'm oversimplifying, and you can potentially foster a great decentralized network of various sorts within a walled garden. That's happened for certain periods of time in various places in the history of the internet, right? But it's got a lot of pretty obvious failure modes demonstrated, for example, many times in the history of Facebook itself, right? And you can see this in many ways. I mean, Zuckerberg's governance proposal, he offers an independent check on Meta's superintelligence, which is Meta's board, right? So you've got a founder-controlled company defining the substrate the billions of supposedly diverse, individually aligned agents run on, and then the safety mechanism is the board. I mean, whose purpose is increase shareholder value for that company, right? And then what's decentralization means to Zuckerberg in this context? Like, it means model training, governance, and economic upside are, well, what, right? I mean, hosted by Facebook, monetized by Facebook, provided to everyone, right? That's like, it's like home ownership in a company town, right? I mean, it's not actually open training, governance, economic upside, open contribution of compute, open contribution of models, AI ideas, ability to fork the stack, ability to modify, own a piece of it, right? I mean, universal access is not the same as universal guidance and curation of the whole system, right? Then we also have some issues here in terms of the future being for everyone. Is like everyone on the planet or everyone in certain countries, right? I mean, the policy section of the document is about export control, slowing geopolitical rivals, accelerating American labs, handing intermediate training checkpoints of frontier models to the U.S. national security establishment before the public ever sees it. So wait, who's everyone here? Everyone is one nation's military intelligence apparatus. Now, I'm U.S. citizen. I'm a dual citizen, which fortunately is still allowed. But I'm a U.S. citizen. I've lived in the U.S. the majority of my life. I believe this is the greatest country on the planet. In so many ways, I love it here. I also don't think any one country should control the singularity. Like, of course, some countries will have more influence than others, but like, this has got to be, it's got to be a global thing, right? I mean, I've born in Brazil, spent a lot of time in Hong Kong, part of China, in Ethiopia, all over the place. And, people are people all over. People are working on AGI all over. Yes, we don't have hyperscaler server farms and Facebook and Google grade companies all over. But, I mean, most of the world lives outside the US-China duopoly. And if we want the transition from AGI to ASI to come out beneficially for everyone, not just people in a couple richest countries, I mean, we really need to pull everyone into the global decision and guidance process, right? I mean, it's not the future is for everyone, but controlled by the U.S. military. This is just back to fucking Team America, World Police, right? I mean, you can have America, fuck yeah, without that. And I mean, the final problem here is there's no thought at all about what kinds of minds are we creating, right? I mean, the assumption is that compute, data, money equals superintelligence. And I mean, compute, data, and money, to a certain extent, are obviously necessary for superintelligence. They're not sufficient for superintelligence. And I mean, various ways of making superintelligence will have very different outcomes, both for the superintelligence and for us, right? Like just having a decentralized ecology of competing superintelligences, even if you had like a fair decentralized ontology of competing superintelligences, which is totally not what you could have within a Facebook walled garden. But I mean, that doesn't guarantee human benefit or any particular value system. I mean, ask the fucking chimps and gorillas of the world how the balance of power among human nations has worked out for their own interests, right? I mean, we have to ask what kinds of cognitive architectures we're creating, where they can reason explicitly and reflectively about their values, about ethics, about their goals. You know, whether they can maintain their values and their self-reflection as they gradually upgrade, right? I mean, these are not apps, they're not appliances. These are going to be sapient beings. These are going to be our own mind children growing beyond us. We need to build them with compassion, growth, and choice at the core. So the transition to AGI and superintelligence is co-evolutionary rather than adversarial in some way. You do want balance of power. Like that's reasonable scaffolding for the transition. It's not a substitute for getting the minds right and maintaining control, as Zuckerberg says, of sapient beings indefinitely is neither feasible engineering nor defensible ethics, right? I mean, so decent sentiment, future should be for everyone, but segueing that into the future is for everyone with a Facebook account, you know, moderated by Facebook's amazing content moderation genius. I mean, this is not the way, right? Yes, a singleton is a danger. Distribution, decentralization is the cure, but you don't want access without ownership. You don't want AGI mind built without a proper, you know, values-focused cognitive architecture. You don't want everyone filtered through military of one country or the board of one company, right? I mean, we know what the future is for everyone should be. And I mean, open source code, not just open weights models, you know, global diverse community and infrastructure, decentralized deployment. I mean, AI built for moral agency and self-reflection from the get-go, not just for next token prediction and reward maximization for its owner. I mean, we know how to do this. I've talked about it in a bunch of other blog posts. I just want to make sure no one thinks that, you know, having this sentiment the future should be for everyone and having a lot of money and compute and smart people, even if you concede that Zuckerberg is truly good-hearted about wanting what he says he wants, like, you can't force the infinite dimensional fractal through the two-dimensional square hole, right? Like it's the corporate wrapper as designed is not adequate for it, even with the best of intentions, right? And the intentions may be mixed here, but even with the best, right? You can certainly have for-profit companies sitting on top of a decentralized ecosystem making fuckloads of money, but I mean the control has to be global and truly decentralized, or you're not getting the emergent collective wizardry or the emergent collective value system that you want to be. A sentiment that will surprise exactly no one who's aware of my general perspective. On the other hand, seemed important to lay it out.